Hey everyone, it's tinyflame here, back with another devlog. Hopefully my voice is a bit better this time. I noticed on my previous video, I don't know if it's because I was sick, but my voice sounded so tinny. So I'm not using OBS to record my voice anymore, I'm using Audacity. Seeing as how I use Audacity for my game development, I might as well try and use it for like YouTube videos to see if it does anything, records things better. But anyhow, welcome back to my video game project, which is a top-down cyberpunk stealth game that I'm working on. In my last video, I said that I was going to add some stuff, and I added that stuff. But to be honest with you, the most of my time I spent this weekend was doing user interface development. Goodness, do I not like implementing user interface and menu logic. It took me so long to implement this very messy UI you see here. Let me just load this game real quick. It's not even completely done yet, but it works. Like, the mechanics are there, but it took me like twice as long, if not more, to implement the menu logic than it did most of the mechanics in my game project. It's quite crazy. So I mean, well, I'll go through that in a moment, just because it's gonna sound. This is the saddest thing in terms of like showing people. Like, showing someone a user interface is boring compared to like showing someone a game with mechanics in it, right? I could show you guys like the new implant mechanics I implemented, and that'd be way more interesting than this. But like, whatever. Like, we'll just do it. I'll start with the more fun stuff first, I suppose. I implemented, so I had my partner playtest the game for me because she's way better at video games than I am. And she had almost immediately had like 6 issues that she found. Some of them were pretty funny, but it just goes to show how super useful it is for people to actually play early copies of the game. So I'm hopeful I can do that more in the future. So one of the feedbacks that she had, and I could see immediately when she started playing the video game, was she tried to use WASD to control the character, and because at the time my character controls only mouse, point and click to where you want to go. And so I thought, okay, well, it makes sense to have WASD movement, because I think the game would play. I always thought that this game would play really well on a controller as well. And so I implemented WASD functionality now. So I'm moving the character around with WASD. And as a side effect of that, I can also do controller controls. I can use my Xbox controller to play as well. So currently I'm running around with my Xbox controller, which is pretty cool. And this took me like I think 5 minutes to implement because the Unity game engine makes it pretty easy to implement. So that's like a bonus. The way it currently works though isn't perfect. Let me just put my controller down. The way it currently works isn't perfect because I can't use my mouse anymore to move around. But I know why that's happening, and I can kind of fix that bug. But I'm thinking that I'll give the player a choice, kind of like a Path of Exile 2 does it, where you can choose if you want to use WASD or if you want to use mouse, right? And if you enable mouse, then it'll be mouse movement. If you enable WASD, then it'll be WASD for controls, with mouse to interact with the UI elements. Maybe I'll just do all. I don't know, I have to kind of map out the controls, because there's a surprising amount of different buttons you need to press, so we'll see. For controller support, it'll be pretty straightforward. You have a controller, and you just use the controller for everything. So the next bit of feedback that I had was, and it's something that I couldn't quite put my finger on, but it was annoying me as well. Whenever you're trying to sneak up on an enemy, like this fella here, back in the old control scheme, if he got by you, or if you're waiting for him to cross past you, you would turn, but you wouldn't turn sharp enough. You would kind of turn with like an angular drag to it, which meant that you'd kind of run in circles like this whenever you're trying to turn around. And that could mean that if the enemy's here, in the center area, I would run around them trying to get behind them, which it just didn't feel very natural. It felt very clunky, and oftentimes this would lead into me missing like a knockout mechanic, or it would mean that the enemy sees me. So that's something that I got from the player feedback as well pretty quickly. that it felt very mechanical. It kind of like had tank controls, which is not great, you know. And the way that I fixed that, so you can see I fixed that. Like currently, I can turn on a dime now. So if I want to turn running this way, I'm not going to turn around. I'm just going to run that way, right? I'm just going to run up now. I'm not going to like turn to run down and turn to run up. I'm just going to be able to do that. The only side effect currently, and it's a bug I need to fix, is like I'll always face north now. So if I run here, I'll face north. If I run here, I'll face north. It's like annoying, but it's a small price to pay for very responsive control. So it's kind of nice that I can be very responsive now. So the way I had to implement that was to kind of, I'll make a separate video to show the code, and because it's a very, like, I found some post somewhere on the Unity forums where some guy wrote some code, wrote a function to do all the calculations, and I think that big shout out to that person. That's why I want to make a separate video so I can show his post, just because it was super useful and I learned a lot about it. So I'll make a separate video on that. But basically, in layman's terms, it's basically turning off the autopilot from the nav mesh. So the nav mesh controls the movement, or the nav mesh agent, I should say. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, nav mesh agent, whenever I rotate, don't do anything. I'll take care of the rotation myself, and then we do our own rotation. So currently, when I move down, the nav mesh agent isn't calculating that rotation. I am, or my code is, which means I can make it do this rather than doing the clunky thing, which is pretty awesome. Oh my goodness, let me just get rid of this guy. He's on an angle, and he just ran right past me. Okay. Go away, you're being annoying. Okay, so those are like those are all the movement changes I've made. So I have to just fix this north-facing bug because it's kind of annoying. But the controls feel so great, and also playing on controller is so much fun. So I'm really happy about that. The next thing that I'm gonna do like the compliment sandwich. I'm gonna show you a fun mechanic, and then I'm gonna show you a boring mechanic, and then I'm gonna show you a fun mechanic. Here's the boring mechanic. Like, you have this user interface. It's pretty different from the previous user interface. I tried to have everything nice and centered, but then I added like items, item tracking as well, and it just became very messy and busy looking. So I need to implement some, what do you call them, tooltips. So if you hover over things, it'll tell you what it is, because having the text constantly there is a bit distracting. So I might make that another option feature where you can either turn it on and off, and if you turn it off, you can hover over to see it. But I'll get there, just because I can already envision the utter nightmare that user interface code is going to be, and I don't want to do it right now. So I'll get to that. But the UI has changed slightly, so you now have an energy bar, and it actually works. I'll show you later when you get to the implants, but you'll have energy, and it works like most other games. Like, whenever you use implants, energy drains and it recharges over time. You have health, no big surprise there. The change with health, I've capped it, so it's either 100 or 0. It can't be minus numbers or higher than a 0 anymore. So that's pretty useful. Credits is just credits. It has some animation to it as well if you try and spend money that you don't have. I'll show you that in a minute. And yeah, so we've got two more menus here. This is the Questy 9000. I've made the audio less loud because it used to be very loud. So I'm quite happy about that. I added a close button, power button over here, so we can now close the menu, or you can just like spam escape if you want to. Yeah, and there's like a placeholder menu here, which I'll show you because it's to do with implants, so I'll show you that later. And then we've got the item menu. So before, like in the other videos, you've been seeing me like spam these caltrops and stuff like that. But you can't really see when you have them selected. So I implemented a UI so we can see that now. What I kind of want to do is move this UI sideways or to this side. I'm not sure which way yet. Or do something else with it because it looks clunky here, but I can press, like, you can see you can scroll through all the items that you have. Currently I only have 2, right? Caltrops, and you can see there's like the next item will be a gas trap. So I'll select the gas trap, the previous item was a caltrop. So you can kind of see, you know, which one you have and which one you don't. The X's are just to show that there's no more items. It doesn't look really great, I need to change it. And another thing that I implemented was the counts. So we have a count of how many caltrops we have and how many gas traps we have. And I know it doesn't look very interesting, but that took most of my development time. Everything else that I implemented was like easy, but yeah, that's where most of my time went, like in the hot mess you see before you. Another thing I implemented for the gas traps was, like, if we slap one down, we can see that they actually have a texture now, which is kind of cool. So they no longer share the caltrop texture. So they're little baggies, and when somebody steps on the little baggie, it explodes and gas comes out. So yeah, that's pretty much the new UI, but also the sight gem I changed. So it's when the sight gem is on the top, it's dark. That's slightly brighter, and that's the brightest one there. Whenever you're like very visible. So I had feedback that the face was confusing, and to be honest, when I redesigned the UI, I was like, the face kind of looks out of place now. I kind of want a purple thing that looks cool, so that's the purple thing there. I don't know if I'll change it to make it look different in the future, but for now, that's how it is, and it kind of works and gets the job done. Cool. What else can I show you? Oh, let's take some damage real quick, and then I can show you. Last video I said I was going to make the vending machines usable, and I did that. So can this fella see me? Look up here, guy. I'm over here. Hit me. Oh, I can show you a funny bug that like my partner found when she was playtesting it. If I just don't move, right, he'll stand right on top of me, so he can't hit me because I'm inside him, and he can't see me because I'm inside him. How weird. It's quite funny. Let's just drag him to this trap so he can step on it. Boosh. Nighty night. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Okay, cool. So now, if we go down here, let's say, so we've got 50 health left. Now we can use the vending machine, and we can buy a snack, and we'll heal some amount. I think it's 15. Yeah, that was 15. And if we don't, and it costs 15 bucks, so you kind of spend 15 bucks for a snack. I'll make them different in the future because I can do that. But for like we're drinking. I think this vending machine is a splurt vending machine. Yeah, so we're buying a splurt drink, and we're drinking it for some health. And if we spend some more, we want to buy more, we can't because there's a little animation to show. Oh, you don't have enough credits, so we can't do that. So that was pretty quick to implement as well, and it's really cool. I'm glad that we can use more things in the environment. So let me show you the final thing that I've implemented. We just need to go down to this area. So there's a dockyard area in Lowtown down here. This Aces, Smoking Aces is here as well. Oh, Flaming Aces, sorry, but it's not implemented completely yet. It's a nightclub. And if we go down here into the dockyard, we can see there's a dock, and the main quest was supposed to bring you here, but that quest sucked, so I took it out. And I replaced it with something more interesting, which you kind of saw in the previous video. But so I had this little dockyard here that I'm not using for anything, and so I thought, well, this will be a good like black market cyber implant place where players can go to get their implants done. So Gus will direct you here early on in the game once I rewrite the conversation for it. So we'll just pop in here into this little dockyard area. There's no one in here yet, but I'll add more people and stuff once I get to it. But mostly I was just doing the UI stuff. And this is once we jump inside the Guvat, I might show a little clip of what it used to look like here, but some of the feedback I got was that it didn't really make sense, like the Guvat user interface. And I get it. And also, once I started redesigning it, it really didn't make sense. So you can see, like, there's some placeholder text here. That's from the way it used to be. So I had to make some cutbacks, I suppose you could say, because so the way I wanted this to work originally was that you would be able to select each body part and upgrade it with like some type of implant, right? But that's a lot of implants, and I don't have the time, if I want to get this project done ever, to implement every single body parts implant. So I've redesigned how implants are going to work. They'll work slightly differently now, where you'll have 2 implants at a time. You can only ever have 2 implants, right? You can have an active implant and a passive implant. So if we go to, well, let me just talk about it first real quick. Active implants are actual skills that you can use. For example, back when we used to warp around everywhere in debug mode, that is an example of an active implant. It's something that's actively working. And a passive implant is pretty much what it sounds like on the tin, right? It's something that will constantly be running in the background. So let's say we took damage and we want to be able to regenerate our health. We might want to look for a corporation that's known for like biological stuff, and they might have a passive implant that regenerates health over time. Spoiler alert, they will, because that's what I'm going to be implementing. I've got all the implants written down here on a post-it note, so I know how to make it work in theory. I just have to write the code, but I've not had time yet. And rather than have like each little body part, instead I'm replacing them with company names. So each of these companies, you might have seen them in the previous videos, we've ran past them, they're in the game. So I thought, well, I've got all these companies I thought up in my video game, so why not make use of them? And so I started doing that. So let's click on some of them and you can see some of the UIs that pop up. So the whole effect's supposed to be like a CRT monitor that kind of pops up with like information on it. There's still some placeholder stuff here just because I was working on getting the mechanics working of the UI, not so much the textures. I need to continue making them. And there's going to be a CRT effect, but I need to write a shader. I've not had time yet. I know how to do it because there's a very, very useful YouTube video which I'll link in the description. Actually, I'll link it in the description when I actually make the shader, just because it is super useful. But yeah, without any more rambling, this is the first company, Biomen Corporation, and each implant that you click will have like a company like description, because you know, if you go to a company website, they always like state what they're doing, what their business is, and their slogans and stuff. So it's kind of like the same vibe. So Biomen Corporation, Biomen has a proud history in biocomputing, bioinformatics, and genetics. We at Biomen appreciate nature, we respect it as a worthy adversary. We analyze it and learn from it, then we conquer it. The results: longer life expectancy and fewer diseases to worry about. Here at Biomen, we help you plant the seed for your future. So this is pretty much going to be like genetics research. So you'll be able to like have some passive that will regenerate your health over time. I can't remember what this one the active one will be. I wrote it down, but we'll get back to that. We've got the Zamor Collective. There you kind of see the Zamor Collective. They're headquartered in the Lowtown monorail, underneath the building underneath it. That is pretty much the Zamor Collective. So that's where they hang out. You've not really met them yet in the quest lines, but I'm hopeful in the side quests you'll see a little bit more of them. The flesh is weak, but fear not your squishy unbecomings, for the Zamor Collective will provide. Cast off the trappings of the trappings on the flesh, it should be of the flesh, and imbue oneself with the shining glory of metal and chrome. Remember, the cog spins and the world follows. So they'll be pretty much more like, you know, the sin of the flesh, replacing squishy components with metal and stuff, so you become more robotic if you have their implants. It's heavily inspired by 40k, just because I like tech priests. I think they're awesome. Nanoshift Labs. So this is the only one that actually works. Nanoshift Labs. At Nanoshift Labs, we specialize in physics-based solutions, combining the quantum with the everyday struggles of life. We work to change the world one atom at a time. So there's the current one here. The active implant is a warp prototype, a proof of concept implant created to study the impact of molecular recombination. So I'm going to click the white box because that will actually install it. I don't have confirmation yet, and I don't have a graphic for it yet, but I'll get there. There's a passive which will install. Don't know what it does yet, because what it is going to do is give you make your energy recharge quicker, because it doesn't currently, but it's going to use more energy than other prototypes, just because it's a really powerful prototype. It's a really powerful implant, sorry. So I don't want the player to just be able to spam this very quickly, because it'll make the game trivial. But this will kind of help combat that a little bit, but not too much. It'll kind of make it usable. So the whole design idea is even though you can only have 2 implants, an active and a passive, I want it to be so you can mix and match. For example, you can have like a Biomend passive implant with a Nanoshift active if you want, or a Takashi Logistics one with like a whatever else. So you can kind of mix and match, and because of that you can make some interesting combinations to suit your playstyle. So if you like somebody that likes spying on people or like planning ahead, there'll be an implant. The little chest area will change to a company called Coptic that I'm going to be implementing, and they specialize in stealth. So mostly like being able to move without making sound, and being able to like hack into cameras. You might have seen cameras. So in the previous video when we went to the hackers' hideouts, there was a camera in the hideout. I don't know if anyone could see it, but in the corner of the room. So I want to make use of the. There's a couple of them in the game so far, and I want to make use of them. So if you have the Coptic implant, you can kind of hack into those, and you can see what is in other rooms before going into it. Kind of similar to the Thief games, where you could stare through the keyhole to see what's in the other room. It's kind of inspired by that. I think that'd be pretty cool, but I've not implemented it yet. Anyway, let me show you. So this is a placeholder graphic. Don't judge me. I just got really bored of drawing menus, so I thought I'd have some fun. But the idea of this menu is to show the player what implants they have. It'll also have like a description of the implant, not just the picture, and it'll look actually good when I implement it. This is just a placeholder. But now that we have the active implant called warp prototype installed and the passive called whatever it's going to be called installed, we can now warp again like we used to be able to. So that's pretty cool. And you can see the energy UI whenever I warp. It uses energy, and when the energy is gone, I can't warp anymore until it recharges. And it takes like 5 seconds to recharge at the moment. That's like the default. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So now we can happily just warp like we used to warp, because we have the implant installed. And obviously the implant didn't cost any money because I need to implement that yet. I haven't implemented that yet, but we'll get there. Yeah. This isn't a bug, by the way. This is actual shader. It's supposed to be a broken billboard, but I've not added the sparks and damage yet, so I'll get there as well. But yeah, progress slowly. That's pretty much all I wanted to show. Hopefully next video I make, I'll be able to show the UI in a better state. I'm just kind of trying to get all the pieces you know, together before I try and position them properly. I do like this area in the middle being these things, but these three UI elements here need to shift to the left or to the right. I'm not too sure. I'm thinking maybe to the right, but we'll see. But yeah, anyway, that's it. Hope you guys like it. If you guys have any comments, please leave them in the YouTube video below. If you see this video, just it's useful to get feedback, especially if there's something that doesn't look good, or that's something that could look better, or some mechanic that doesn't seem very good, or you know, something wrong with it. Like that, I kind of need more feedback, because having people play my game for the first time actually made me realize, wow, there's like a lot of stuff I just did not even realize. Obviously they need to be fixed, but I had no idea they were there because I've just been staring at this for way too long. So yeah, any feedback is super useful. But yeah, I'll leave you guys to enjoy the rest of your weekends. Catch you guys next Monday. I'll do the next upload, probably the little tutorial video. But yeah, see you guys then. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.